So I had an interesting thing happen this weekend. And for those who don't know me, I'm an avid scuba diver. I love scuba diving. I have collected a couple different certifications, night diving, wreck diving, deep diving, oxygen enriched air diving, and stress and rescue diving. And then I've logged enough dives that I'm actually a certified master diver. But I'm one of a group of five uh, friends, and we jokingly call ourselves, because we're all middle aged guys, right? We jokingly call ourselves Meal Team Six, uh, the non elite dive unit, as opposed to SEAL Team Six, the elite unit. Um, but this weekend we were going to go dive a shipwreck that is 3 miles off of the Grand Haven Lighthouse called the Ironsides. Now, the Ironsides was commissioned around 1850. It had a wooden hull with two steam engines and two propellers, a total of eight blades on those propellers. It was part ferry, part freight. And here I've got a picture of it. There we go. This is what it looked like in all of its glory. Kind of a neat looking little boat. But in around 1875, 1876, uh, the ship was trying to come into the Grand Haven Channel there during very rough, well, it's not rough seas, during a rough storm. And it's reported that the captain made three attempts, and all three attempts, the boat came in and missed the channel. And at least one of the times, the ship grounded out. Uh, the shipwreck showed six of the eight propeller blades had major damage to them. And by the time the ship came in the third time and went back out, the pumps did all they could. The boat took on enough water, and the steam engine boilers were out. The ship was gone, right? Um, the ship had 19 passengers and 30 crew. Uh, and unfortunately, it was described by people that were on the shore that only one of the life rafts actually made it to shore, but uh, morbidly, they said that they were reporting bodies washing up on shore. Really sad. Really sad. And honestly, I think part of why this is a cursed dive. But so we're on a boat. We're gonna go dive this shipwreck. We're heading on out there, and not just a couple miles off the dock. One of the four of us, he's starting to set up his gear, and he's putting his regulator on his tank, and he realizes, wait a minute, this is the whole unit's spinning. And then he looks, and his tank is somehow completely out of air. Somehow the tank must have been banged, and the top valve turned, and it bled off air overnight. So he's out. No air tank, no dive. And he has a different setup than all the rest of us. So it's not like anybody could have given him one of the extra tanks. So he's out. We get on out to the shipwreck area, and there's a historical society that puts a buoy in place every mid-ish summer so that scuba divers can go down and know where to go and go down and see this shipwreck. So we get the boat out there, we tie up to this buoy. Uh, And another one of the guys, he's hooking up his equipment, and all of a sudden, psh, he blows an internal O ring on his regulator. He's done. Nothing he can do. That just left two of us. So, me and another guy, we get all our equipment on safely. We get into the water and we go over the dive plan. Really important. It's one of those, a dive plan is one of those things that it's so basic, because a dive plan for this dive is like, okay, we're going to get in the water. We're going to do a buddy check on the gear, get in the water, get to the buoy, and then we're going to follow the chain on down. Once we get down, and this isn't the first time we've dove this wreck, so we know that the buoy and the chain are on the port side of the boat. So we're going to go down, and then we're going to go to the boat. We're going to go to the stern. We're going to look at the steam engines a little bit, and then we're going to go all the way around and then up to the bow of the boat, circle, finish the circle, go up the chain. And we even said this time, if there's any emergency, throw the hand signals, which, by the way, if you don't know, there's not a real good way to talk when you're 120 feet underwater. Throw the signals, we'll go together to the chain, and we'll go on up. So we're at the buoy, we go on down. Descent only takes like 2 minutes to get 120 feet down. Now, I have to go into some of the significance of scuba diving, and why 120 feet is a significant depth. So, if you've ever taken a plastic bottle of water and drank it all, put the cap back on, and put it in a pool, you'll see by itself it compacts, it compresses, right? I think this one is called Archimedes' law, but when you're standing at sea level in the air, this is one atmosphere. You have the atmosphere, gravity, pressure on you. Pressure is one atmosphere. When you go 33 feet down, that's enough weight and gravity and pressure that it's considered two atmospheres. 66 feet, 99 feet, and on down, 3 and 4 atmospheres and on, right? But you take that same bottle of water, it's full when it's at 1 atmosphere. You go down, it's half the size at 2 atmospheres. Then it's a third the size at 3 atmospheres and a quarter the size at 4 atmospheres. Now, why that's significant is because we both have air tanks on, and that may be a little over an hour's worth of air to just breathe when you're sitting outside the water. But when you're down at 120 feet, what might last you an hour is only going to last you about 15 minutes. So you have to know this going into your dive. Now that's just part of the situation here, right? The other thing to know that's important about diving is when you're here at sea level or a little above, whatever, your lungs were made to be outside in the air. You have these little tiny sacs in your lungs called alveoli, which the capillaries go through, and they exchange carbon dioxide goes out, oxygen goes in, but nitrogen stays there to keep the alveoli inflated during that inhale and exhale process. Well, things are a little different when you're down below and your air is that compressed. The nitrogen goes through the alveoli wall, and you start to collect nitrogen inside your bloodstream. It's it's non-reactive, nothing happens to it, but keep that in mind. So we're down there, we get down to the bottom of the chain, we can see the shipwreck. We're doing the best we can to keep our heart rates down and our breathing normal, although we're kind of excited. So, the first couple seconds, you're like, yeah, I'm down here. We get to the shipwreck, and we, right where the chain is where there's significant damage to the hull. And it's really interesting to kind of peer down in there. I'm kind of a weirdo. I'm looking to see what might not have been seen. There was cargo when it went down called miscellaneous goods on all the documentation. Any food product after 150 years is going to be totally gone. But, I've been on shipwreck dives that are 125 years old where we found good old fashioned iron lanterns. There's no electricity. They carried around lanterns to see around the boats. But I'm looking around to see what I can see, and there's this really big fish just chilling out, taking a nap on the side of the boat. When all of a sudden, and after diving a little while, I mean, I've logged 80 some dives or more. I don't even know. But after a while, you learn to keep an eye on your dive partner, making sure they're okay, because it's not like they can, hey man, I need some help over here. My flipper's caught or anything like that. So you keep an eye on each other, right? And all of a sudden I look at him, and his regulator is just bleeding air. It is going. That is not normal. Normally, the only time you see bubbles is when somebody is slowly exhaling. And man, I knew it. We have a problem. So we've been down for about a total of 5.5 minutes. In total, maybe 15 minutes worth of air on our tanks, five plus of that gone. He's bleeding air. He takes his regulator, he smacks it, he messes with the valve, and it just won't stop bleeding air. He puts it back in and he throws the signal. This is the signal when you're underwater of out of air. So, out of air, sorry, throws the signal out of air, got to go up. Fine. And this is one of those moments like I've been CPR certified, first aid certified, lifeguard certified. I don't even know how many times I've never had to do CPR. I mean, I've used first aid. I've never had to do the Heimlich or anything like that, although I've seen it happen in a restaurant. But this is when it gets real because we're 120 feet underwater. And I told you earlier how the nitrogen gets in your bloodstream. Well, worst case scenario, we have these quick release weights that you can drop. Then you rock it to the surface. But here's the problem, you've got all that nitrogen in your bloodstream. Nitrogen's big. Worst case scenario, if you have to rock it to the surface like that, that nitrogen starts to collect together inside your body and it can form bubbles. It can form bubbles in your brain, in your heart. It's just very, very bad. Very, very bad. Worst case scenario, it can lead to death. If you're lucky in that situation, you can get back on the boat, they gun it to shore, and you have an ambulance or a helicopter waiting to pick you up. And most of the major hospitals here in West Michigan actually have compression chambers. They wheel your butt right in there as fast as possible. A nurse gets in there, close the door, and man, they fill it up with pressure and monitor you as they slowly drop the pressure down to be sure that you don't have any bubbles and you're okay. So we're 120 feet down. He's got seconds of air left. I see him throwing the out of air, got a surface signal. We talked about this in our dive plan. I grabbed his hand and I grabbed, sorry, modern scuba diving equipment. You've got your tank, you've got a regulator on back, and then you have your main breather. And just for emergencies like this, every regulator should have a secondary breather with a longer hose called an octo. I grab his hand. I grab my octo. He's breathing off of the last bits of air that he has, just making a storm out by his face. We swim over to that chain, and there's kind of a rule. If you don't want the bends or decompression sickness, as it's called nowadays, you're not supposed to go up any faster than your tiniest air bubble. Problem is, he's a big bubble storm, and I'm trying to hold back from him a little ways so I can see. And at the same time, I look at my air gauge. I have less than half a tank left. So things are starting to get serious really fast. So we're sliding up the chain. I have one hand on the chain. I have one hand on my dive computer watching my air pressure. He has a hand on me and a hand holding his octo, and we're sliding on up the chain to try and get to the top. We get to the 40-foot mark and we do a quick 1 minute stop there just to be sure we can breathe off some of this nitrogen gas. And I'm telling you, I'm watching the numbers go down on my air gauge, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a close one. We go after a minute, we go up to what's called the 15-foot stop, which is between 20 and 15 feet. And you're supposed to stay there for 5 minutes. I'm watching my air gauge. We're breathing. It's got the timer going. We made it. 5 minutes. Go to the surface the rest of the way. I had less than 500 pounds left in my air tank, which is kind of the minimum you ever really want to have in a situation like this. We get up, and the guys on the boat are like, "What happened? We saw the bubbles. We saw the bubbles." So we let them know we did our stops and everybody's okay. No reason to panic and no reason to haul butt back to shore. So yeah, it was a pretty intense thing. Like I said, I've had CPR and all these things all these times, and I did the scuba diving stress and rescue class. Uh, I think the lessons I pull from that is it's one, it's always good to have a plan. Two, never panic. And three, follow the plan. Anyway, thanks for listening to my story.